Hey everyone, it's me again. This is an overview of how to insulate your weight pockets. Yay! Anyway, you don't have to necessarily remove your weights out of your windows and then basically try to replace your windows. It's not really an upgrade, it's kind of a downgrade. Because the windows that you have originally in your house, as long as they haven't been replaced, are totally redoable. And it's pretty easy to do. You can do it yourself, you can hire someone to do it. Costs a little cheaper just to have them redone than to buy new and have them come and install it and jack with your house. What they end up doing, some people have done in the past, is they'll cut the sash cords on the lower sash because that's what they can get to. Oftentimes the upper sash is supposed to come down, but because they're double hung windows, but they're either nailed shut or they're basically painted shut. Painted shut is more likely what it is. Or just years and years and years of painting. The upper sash on this probably hasn't been moved in 60 years. I mean, there's just that much paint on it. Or more. But really, you can insulate these weight pockets and make them more efficient. And really do well with drafts, with the cold coming in and everything else. So some weight pockets have a cover on them like mine do. They have these pine rough cut covers over them, so they cover the pocket itself. So they sit between here and here, and then they just attach basically between here. But oftentimes people remove them, or they didn't get put in right, or who knows. We're talking 130 years. Who knows who did what? But first step to insulating I've done is put the spray foam in. The window door spray foam. It's open cell. It's not water resistant. It's not fire resistant or anything like that. Just to let you know. So this foam is an insulation like anything else. I don't like using the pink insulation in these because it just doesn't seal up nice. You can see a little bit of pink at the top. When they redid things, they shoved a bunch of pink in there and it's not real great. I'll have to go up there and spray foam and fill up the voids because they packed it in so tight because it's a tight space, so they go in there with a piece of wood and they jam it in there as much as they can, and that reduces the efficiency of the pink insulation, the fiberglass. It really makes it a lot less efficient. That's why they want it fluffy, that's why they want it thick, and they want it, basically when you lay it down in your attic, you have it in layers. You go one way in the attic, and then you go the opposite way when you lay the next layer on the floor. Well, weight pockets are a little bit different. I know on this one, the whole reason why I tore it apart is because someone had went through the weight pocket or through the pulley pocket and jammed a bunch of insulation just randomly in it. People think they're insulating that way, but they're not, because you have little gaps and spaces. And if you really fill it, then you're just reducing the efficiency of the pink stuff anyway, and it's not really doing anything for drafts. Insulation like that isn't going to do crap for drafts. You got to stop the air leakage. Unless you have the paper barrier, but even then, it gets wet and it's going to mold. Anyway, so back to this. Spray foam, there's a huge gap at the top of it that isn't used, so anything above that pulley is just dead space. It's not used. So I'll be filling in more once I insulate the top, filling more spray foam in there, making it a nice tight cavity. And then I went through, and any obvious cracks, that was pretty thick, like that, I ended up spraying in those holes. I know I got a little gap here, but there is spray foam down in there. It kind of got knocked off a little bit. And you go down, I got a little trimming to do down there. And then at the bottom, you don't want to build this up too much because it'll impede you from getting the weights out if you ever have to replace the sash cord. Or if you're redoing the entire window, then you got to be able to pull them through the weight pocket door, essentially, which is covered by your lower sash. But like, then I'll stick my hand in here, and you can do it, moisten your hand a little bit, but if you can feel really well with your hand, you can tell which side the draft's coming on, or is it straight ahead. Yeah, you put it up here. If you feel it on the top of your fingers, you know the cold's coming from here, and it's most likely this joint right here where the sheathing hits the 2x4. Same with this. If you feel it coming from this side, you feel it on your fingers on the other side of your fingers, the inside of your fingers, and you'll feel it drafting in there pretty good. This is from the weight rubbing against the insulation a little bit, which is fine. I'm not worried about that. Once you get done doing the spray foam, it's going to billow out and it's going to be all the way in the cavity. Then you can just take it and basically peel it off. You can use your fingers, or if you want to use something else to cut it, you can do that and get it level so that the weights have somewhere to go. Because if you just leave it spray foamed out like that, it's going to cover probably half the cavity, and you'll never get a weight up and down that. You just be beating the crap out of it with a weight. I mean, you get a weight like that in there, you know, needs room to move. But I'll show you what I did to the other side. Once you have all that done, you got it in there, stick your hand in there, see where it's leaking. You know, stick your hand in here. You're probably going to have some leakage around this weight door. Even if you did replacement windows or anything like that crap, you're going to have leakage on that door. The tape's not there permanently. I just blocked it off because I knew there was going to be an air leak in there. I have an idea of what to do with that to tighten it up so we're not having to worry about the draft so much in that location. But if you have the window that's appropriately set up with bronze, spring bronze and everything else, then you shouldn't have that issue because the spring bronze will go on the one side. I mean, they cut around it. I'll do a video on that, but so like up here, that's what it looked like right here, and I got a draft right here. So I'm gonna have to fill that. I got more spray foam I ran out, and I'll have to spray behind it. And then come on down and you start seeing some caulking. This doesn't have to be a pretty job. In fact, you probably won't be able to get a caulking gun in there to do this. So what I was doing is I was putting a little bit on a stir stick from a paint can and spreading it in there as I went. That worked just fine. You can tell where the drafts were, where the caulking was. I checked this out when we had 30-mile-an-hour winds and it was -6 out. So that really tells me where a lot of the drafts are. I'm not saying leave your windows open until you get like a real cold wind, because it's not practical if you're doing your windows. But I have the luxury of doing it. I want to make sure it's correct. And then of course down at the bottom there's the pile of insulation that typically falls off of the whole channel here when the whole pocket here when you're insulating. It just all ends up at the bottom. And then that insulates the bottom. That doesn't solve the stool. So the part that this window sits on, the lower part in this window, has a void in it as well. And what you have to do is you have to drill holes in the stool, or in the part in front of the stool, and stick your nozzle for the spray foam in there and just fill those up. That'll stop the leakage from there. And typically the leakage shows up in the weight pocket right here in the corner. It'll show up right in here, and it'll fill that pocket full of cold air. Then you use a wooden bung, which you can get, or a plug, going either way, from wherever your home center is. You can even get tools that'll cut them for you, so you can cut them in various sizes. And then you just make sure you got the right plug for the right drill bit you're using. Probably you just have to measure the straw on the can. So you'll be a little oversized for the straw. And just get the appropriate bung to fill the hole, whatever drill bit you use. And then either cut it down or plane it down flat. And then you can just paint right over it. Make sure you put a little bit of caulking or wood glue or something, probably wood glue, to set that plug in there. Then that'll keep it from popping back out. Let it dry before you try to really work with it. But you can sand it, or you can use a chisel to flatten it out. You can use a Japanese pole saw, which is a nice saw to have. It's cheap. It works really well. But it has a flexible blade, so you can get in there. Sorry. You can get in there and really saw those down. That's if you have any stick up. Usually it sticks up. But anyway, that's how I'm insulating the pockets. If I have any new things I come up with, like how to insulate pockets without tearing them apart, I'll let you know. That's kind of a trick, because there's not a whole lot of room in these weight pockets when they're closed up to be able to even send a robot or something in here to go ahead and fill that whole cavity. Or, where it needs to fill and then somehow scrape it off. It'd just be a nightmare. You can get the minimal expanding foam. They won't poof out so much, but still, you're going to have some movement, some puffiness. Anyway, that's what I'm doing, and it's working. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and good luck on your project. Oh, and by the way, if you have the covers on it, there's going to be nails that come in from the casement side into it. There's going to be nails that go along the edge of it, and you'll have nails at the very top and bottom, which go above the window on this house and below on both sides. So you'll have to cut the drywall to get to it, or the plaster. Plaster came up all the way, and they kind of took the trowel and went a little bit over that pocket to seal this edge. And that's not, kind of have to cut through it, try to get through it. And don't worry, this will be covered by trim. So this will be covered. This won't, I'll have to put a piece of drywall here, but this will be covered by trim. Anyway, please rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.